recorded live in a bulletproof bunker somewhere in the bowels of Chirac. This is the Matt Forney Show. And now, here's your host, Matt Forney.
Very, very loathsome, pitiable creature.
A deeply unhappy, miserable person that no one in their right mind would ever look up to or emulate.
Basically, I don't think girls should be allowed to drink. Okay, I actually feel invigorated after going to a Trump rally. You know,
the delusions of the left, the delusions of socialism, the delusions of cultural Marxism.
because quite frankly, most women are just fucking boring.
He was in fact a she, female to male transsexual. And again, how am I supposed to respond to something like this? You know, The establishment attempts to prop up the left-wing cultural Marxist narrative. Slutty white chicks grinding up on black guys, you know, because the John Birch Society was purportedly anti-Semitic, you know, because that suddenly became a huge concern, you know. We've got all these, the Holocaust, 6 million Jews supposedly died in the Holocaust, so I am 100% against social justice warriors, because they hate me as a man. They hate me for being white, they hate me for being a man, they hate me for being heterosexual.
No, they really don't hate you for those reasons. They hate you because you are a colossal dickhead. Hello there, and welcome one and all to episode 16 of the Descent of Man-osphere, the series where I take you through the ways in which the Man-osphere and its absolutely despicable inhabitants are trying to reverse human evolution and drag us all back into the fucking sea. And that's right, my baby's now 16, which now means, in Britain, she's reached the age of legal consent. Not that the people featured in this series give a fuck about things like consent. Seriously, if you come after my baby now she's legal, I will gut you like a fucking fish. Now, the dickhead we're dealing with today is a guy who writes for Return of Kings as well as a number of other absolutely appalling rags here on the internet. He's the alt-right gobshite. Yes, it's Davis Orini's third testicle. It's Matt Forney! Now, as I mentioned, he's a journalist for Return of Kings and righton.org and a number of other appalling sort of right-wing rape apologist, fucking shit streak rags here on the internet. And as part of his work as a journalist, he went to Iowa to cover the Iowa caucuses, which is the, for those who don't know, is the election they have in America before the actual election where they elect the president. So this is the pre-election election, because obviously that's the best way to do it. Obviously, of course it fucking is. Now, he went to cover both the Republicans and the Democrats, but he made it clear he wasn't going to be doing any sort of vanilla journalism here.
If you're not paying me to, I'm not out here to report on the political decisions of the candidates. If you want to find out what Carly Fiorina says she believes, just go to our website. You know, anyone can find that out. I'm here to report the things that you can't see.
Yeah, that's right. Why would you cover the policy positions of any of the candidates like, you know, an actual journalist fucking should? No. He's going to take you behind the story. So, Matt, what you got for us?
In fact, even when the town hall filled up when Jeb actually arrived, I was still probably the only person under 45, excluding one guy with a toddler, and there was someone who brought in like an autistic kid who looked like in a wheelchair. He looked like a tranny version of Timmy from South Park. That's seriously.
Oh right. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll check back in with you in Iowa in a bit, Matt. But yeah, like I say, he writes for Return of Kings, and so, as such, where else could we possibly start but with this? Yes, it's the inevitable bit about rape. Now, for Matt Forney's inevitable bit about rape, there's just too fucking much. I mean, I don't even know where to start with him. I could have gone with any number of the fucking huge plethora of articles he's written for Return of Kings about rape. And the reason I decided not to go with any of these articles is because, as you can tell from the titles, they're pretty sort of bog standard, boilerplate, rape apology 101 bullshit. I mean, they're on fucking Return of Kings, for God's sake. And you really don't need to fuck around with actually reading these articles. The titles alone tell you all you ever need to know about how much of a fucking scumbag Matt Forney is. Then, of course, there was the spat that he recently got into with Dean Esmay, formerly of A Voice for Men, a website that Matt Forney has referred to as A Voice for Manginas. Yeah.
It's okay to not like things. It's okay, but don't be a dick about it.
Anyway, their argument was about the recent rapes which took place in Cologne in New Year 2015, where a group of largely North African or Arabic men raped and sexually assaulted a number of women in Germany, obviously in Cologne. And for me, it was fascinating to see the fault line that runs through these people when at the intersection of race and gender. Because, as I've said before, bigotry begets bigotry. And in this case, you can see which side of the fault line each of them falls on. Because Matt Forney, a man who constantly goes on about how women falsely accuse men of rape, instantly believed these stories of, these rapes in Cologne, even though he has just as much evidence as any of the previous, the articles I just showed you, where he questions whether the woman was raped or whatever. But he's happy to believe these women on this occasion because he hates black and brown people, which is the point of his attack actually here. He hates black and brown people more than he hates women. I mean, he still fucking hates women, but he hates black and brown people more. Whereas Dean Esmay, on the other hand, carried on with the typical sort of MRA MGTOW line of saying, no, fuck these women, they absolutely are lying about this, what a load of shit, because he hates women more than he hates black and brown people. I mean, he still hates black and brown people, don't get me wrong, but he hates women more. For me, that was a really interesting clash of bigotries, so to speak. But I'm not going to go with that either. What I'm actually going to go with is a short clip that I'm about to play for you from his podcast. Now, for those who don't know, he does a regular podcast called The Matt Forney Show, and it's fucking dreadful. Seriously, it's absolutely awful. Basically, he brings on a guest to sort of interview / chat with them about, stuff and things. And they're always from the fucking alternative right, just like him. So they agree about virtually fucking everything. So basically, he asks them a few questions and they chat, and they agree on fucking everything. You might as well just talk to the fucking mirror, Matt. Look, what is the point? What is anyone getting from these fucking sessions of circle jerkery? But anyway, on one particular occasion, he wanted to talk about his paymaster over at Return of Kings, a man by the name of Dariush Velidzadeh, more commonly known as Roosh V, who, interestingly, from Matt, who is a massive racist piece of shit, about which more later, takes a paycheck from a half Persian. How does that feel, Matt? Does it feel like white genocide, I wonder? But anyway, in defending his pimp, I mean boss, Matt said this.
Notice that there's been kind of a flare-up between certain sectors of the alternative right and certain sectors of the manosphere. Basically, like you get all these guys on Twitter who are complaining about Roosh being a, quote, kebab, unquote, who rapes white women, which is not true, by the way. You see a lot of these guys repeating feminist SJW false claims that Roosh is a rapist, false claims that Roosh is a rapist, false claims that Roosh is a rapist.
Oh, really? Now, it's worth pointing out for legal reasons that Roosh V has not been convicted of rape, which, by the way, for me, is one of the surest signs yet of rape culture, but whatever. But he has certainly openly admitted to such acts in the past. Now, what you're about to see comes from a documentary on the BBC made by a guy called Reggie Yates, who I know is a black guy, Matt, but don't worry, you're a prick. I don't really give a fuck what you think. And he made a documentary series called Men at War. One of the episodes of that series was about the Man-osphere. And he went to interview Roosh V on a couple of occasions. And let's see how many times during the course of this Roosh either A, admits to having raped somebody, B, says some really, really rapey shit which insinuates he might have raped somebody, or C, basically says he doesn't mind raping people.
There's just time for a refresher on his back catalogue. Now, there is a lot of Roosh V books, which are available on huge websites online, by the way. Anyone can buy this stuff. And the sort of thing that is in these books is, it's not the sort of thing that I'd want my younger brother to read. It took 4 hours of foreplay and at least 30 repetitions of no, Roosh, no, until she allowed my penis to enter her vagina. No means no, until it means yes. That's actually written here. While walking to my place, I realized how drunk she was. In America, having sex with her would have been rape, since she couldn't legally give her consent. It didn't help matters that I was relatively sober, but I can't say that I cared or even hesitated. It's actually illegal to force someone to have sex in Iceland too, Rouge. I know that when it comes to sex, 1 ounce of hesitation or feeling of morality will get me nothing. That one actually leaves a nasty taste in your mouth. There's a piece he's actually written on his website called How to Stop Rape. And there's a section here that reads, I thought about this problem and I'm sure I have the solution. Make rape legal if done on private property. I propose that we make the violent taking of a woman not punishable by law when done off of public grounds. Basically, you're saying if you rape someone on private grounds in a private residence, it should be okay. That is fucking disgusting. This isn't about confidence. 30 bangs isn't about making young men feel as though they have value. This is about making young women feel as though they have none. In your book, you talk about a situation where there's a woman who's half asleep and you jammed it in, I believe is the words that you used, which is so horrible.
But haven't you done that when a girl was half asleep? A girl that you already had sex with. You've never done it? It wasn't the first time I had sex with her.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You see, Matt, that's a lot of rape in a small piece of footage, isn't it? So either Roosh V is a serial fucking rapist, or he has made lots and lots of false rape allegations against himself, which is ironic as fuck in this instance because you have written about false rape allegations a million fucking times on Return of Kings. In fact, you have written about false rape allegations on Return of Kings probably more times than there have ever been actual false rape allegations. It's fucking ridiculous. But anyway, let's check back in with Matt's absolutely fucking spectacular coverage of the Iowa primaries.
Like I said, it skews mostly young, and the girls are a lot cuter. There was a chick on the on stage, the little the audience members who were allowed on stage, this cute redhead with big tits who kept leading us in like "Feel the Burn" chants.
Wow, that Pulitzer Prize is on its fucking way, I'm sure.
Cucks. These cucks don't realize it. These cucks are still the cucks of just how cucky he is. Still retained his cuck mentality.
Defeated as the non-cuck conservative candidate
Is the cuckservative of the week.
getting cucked by an autistic kid.
Cuckservative of the week.
The biggest cuck I've ever met in my life.
More like pocket full of cucking cucks. Angry cucks track chased away by an angry cuck. The cuckservative. The Golden Cuck Award.
Cuck!
But anyway, let's move on, shall we? One of the things you'll notice about Matt Forney's work is the just ridiculous casualness with which he'll just introduce some of the most racist shit you've ever heard in your fucking life. I mean, really, really casual about it. Just in the most fucking blasé way possible.
And I was accused of being an agent provocateur. You don't need agent provocateurs because the people here are, by definition, provocateurs. Where's my 40 acres? It's up my ass.
So I decided to start trolling. I decided to start trolling Rick Wilson. I asked him if his favorite butt plug has a Star of David on it.
Anne loves black cock.
Asians in general hold up whiteness as an ideal, and they want to be white.
They got a paddy wagon there already. Please show us your Obama cock-sucking face.
It's an extreme example, but the thing is, all multiracial kids have this psychosis to a certain extent. The Holocaust, 6 million Jews supposedly died in the Holocaust, so We have to constantly worship the Jews and smack down any anti-Semitic talk, because the Jews have never, ever, ever done anything wrong and could never have ever have possibly contributed to their supposed depression at any point in their history.
6 million Jews supposedly died in the Holocaust, so.
Yes, he's an evil right-wing Holocaust-denying prick. I do wonder why he gets on so well with Davis or Rini. But the worst of all of it is, I could have put a collection like that together for all sorts of things. Just racism against black people, or just his racism against Jewish people, or his ridiculous kind of talking down to people of Oriental origin or whatever, He's got this thing about banging Filipinos. Of course, yeah. I could have also done the same thing for his hatred of homosexuals, or his ridiculously backward thinking when it comes to transgender people. He absolutely fucking despises and doesn't understand transgender people. I don't think there's a group that he isn't bigoted against, apart from white straight men. Talking of which, let's check back in with his coverage of the Iowa caucuses.
He was doing his whole "you fired" shtick, from The Apprentice. All in all, it was a pretty interesting experience, I mean, if I could just spend the rest of my time here covering Trump rallies, I'd be happy, because they're the only events I go to that don't leave me feeling. I actually feel invigorated after going to a Trump rally. All of these other politicians make me varying degrees of nauseated, but Trump is just innately likable.
Matt, are you in love with Donald Trump?
And this whole rally, doing a rally instead of going to the debate, is a masterstroke for Trump. So basically, everything about this rally was a massive success.
Loving you is more than just a dream come true. And everything that I do is out of loving you.
Trump's followers are by far the most passionate political people I've ever seen so far. A lot of politicians have their fans, their followers. Trump has actual admirers. Trump commands affection where other men only get respect. Like the rally had a very sort of rock star like feel to it.
You wanna fuck me like an animal. You like to burn me on the inside.
Basically, it's halfway between a political rally and like a rock star, and in many ways, you could arguably say that Trump's gonna have groupies. I mean,
Matt, it looks pretty fucking obvious to everyone that he's got at least one groupie already. Now, I poke a bit of fun at him there, mainly because he's a homophobic streak of shit, and I know that if he ever watches this video, that bit will really fucking annoy him, and that makes me fucking erect with anticipation. But aside from all that, my favourite piece of his fucking Trump loving during his coverage, his journalism at the Iowa caucuses, was this bit he mentioned about the diversity in the crowd at one of Donald Trump's rallies.
Trump drew a very diverse crowd. You had a lot of old people there, but you had young people there like me. You had some hipster-looking dudes. You had like dudes in middle age. There was a black guy.
Now you might find it funny already that there's one black guy, but oh what? I'm going to go back to the start of that and then play it on a little bit further because it gets even fucking better.
Trump drew a very diverse crowd. You had a lot of old people there, but you had young people there like me. You had some hipster-looking dudes. You had like dudes in middle age. There was a black guy outside.
That's right. The black guy was outside. Apparently that counts as ethnic diversity at a Donald Trump rally. The idea that there's a black guy outside. Maybe he was hired by Donald Trump in order to try and create an atmosphere of the time that Donald Trump wants to take America back to. Maybe the black guy was employed to act as a shoe shine, to give that really authentic 1950s feel. Or maybe it even got him to pick some cotton to give it that really authentic 1850s feel. I mean, how far does Donald Trump want to take America back? I don't fucking know. Does Donald Trump know? Of course he doesn't. I mean, the Donald Trump presidential bid is a publicity stunt that has gotten way out of fucking hand. But anyway, I'm going to fucking wrap this shit up now whilst I've still got a shred of my sanity left. And there's so much stuff about this fucking utter turd that I barely got to mention, like his hatred of homosexuals, his hatred of trans people, the individual bits of racism he's involved in, because he's basically racist against everyone who isn't exactly like him. I also didn't get to mention his journalism around the Laquan McDonald protests in Chicago, which is where Matt Forney lives. And that's not doxing him, by the way. He's very open about the fact that he lives in Chicago. Following the murder of Laquan McDonald, there was a lot of protests in Chicago, and Matt went and filmed a lot of them. But he's so terrible at journalism that basically it was him on a march filming the backs of the people in front of him. He didn't like interview anybody or try and get a sort of sense of the atmosphere or tell you anything that was going on. It's ridiculous. What was also fantastic was the first one he went to, which he didn't film but told us about, he made into a video entitled something like "I was nearly killed at a Laquan McDonald," at a hashtag Laquan McDonald rally. Which you think, well, that's amazing. Fucking hell, he was nearly killed. What happened to him? Basically, they thought he might have been an undercover police officer. And for probably very good reasons, because A, being a racist prick, he probably didn't react to the black people around him particularly positively, and secondly, as he openly admits, he wasn't actually like chanting along with the stuff. Like, you know, when you go on protests, they've got like chants or little songs and stuff, and he wasn't singing along because, you know, he doesn't agree with the Black Lives Matter people. So he made it very obvious that he wasn't one of them. So why wouldn't they think he was a police officer? But more to the point, what actually happened to him was they said, "Oink oink, I can smell bacon." And that was it. And apparently that counts as nearly getting killed in Matt Forney's world. What the absolute fuck are you talking about, you mental case? I mean, I can perfectly well understand him being, you know, intimidated, because he's around a group of very angry people who are angry at the police, and they think he might be, you know, a part of the police. So that could be quite intimidating and scary. But Matt, here's a point that I really didn't think I'd have to clarify for another adult human being. But people saying words to you does not equal attempted murder. You weren't nearly killed at all, you fucking dickhead. And then some of the further protests he went to, because he went to about 4 or 5 of them, and he filmed the rest of them, and he did the absolutely amazing thing of deciding then to chant along so that he didn't stand out, including my favourite moment of Matt Forney ever was when he chanted this.
Yeah. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people.
The alt-right piece of shite, Matt Forney shouting, "Power to the people." It's just amazing. But what sums up the sort of small-minded, pig-headed fucking nonsense of Matt Forney as a person, as a personality, as a technically a human being, although frankly I really don't enjoy admitting that he's part of the same species that I am, but it is true, unfortunately, was when he went to the Black Friday Laquan McDonald protest in the sort of centre of Chicago, I think it was, or certainly around a large shopping area in Chicago. And he went to that one with a woman called Ann Sturzinger, who is just like him, a alt-right fucking dickhead. And she sometimes co-hosts the podcast he does as well, anyway. And they went to this protest, and again, it's just them saying sort of racist shit whilst filming the backs of the people in front of them, essentially. They don't interview anybody, they don't get anything interesting or important. But the really crazy thing is, they seem so utterly obsessed by the fact that this protest march through, you know, a major built-up fucking city, disrupted the traffic. Now, A, of course it fucking did. It's a protest march. What are you expecting them to go single file down the fucking sidewalk on a fucking march that stretches over the course of about fucking 200 miles? No, of course that's what happens. The police shut down a few roads for a few hours. There's a bit of disruption in traffic, but the world fucking continues to turn. It's not the end of the world. But the crux of why he's such a stupid, ridiculous human being is that he went on this march, right, about this incredibly incendiary event, which could be a potential turning point for, you know, race relations in modern America. I mean, the Laquan McDonald case had national and international fucking headlines, right? It was a huge event, potentially, that could transform modern America. And he was interested in the disruption to traffic flow. Like, that's the most spectacularly stupid way you could miss the fucking point, ever. I mean, he really is just such an utterly pointless human being. Fucking hell. So anyway, to wrap up, right, he's a racist on any number of levels. He's a homophobe, he's a transphobe, he's a sexist, he's a misogynist, he's a chauvinist, he's a fucking idiot.
All that I have left to say is, Matt Forney, go fuck yourself.
Thank you.